We've been talking about, which is I Make War, and we've been talking and looking at the story of David versus Goliath, and we've had some incredible speakers, and tonight we have an awesome guest speaker who also happens to be his last Wednesday night with us. His family is moving, and we're sad to see him go, even though we paid the military base to take them. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But tonight, listen, shh. I don't need to tell you guys. That's also why we have a lot of visitors in the room tonight, because Preston has a fan club, evidently. This is quite the entourage. I don't have that at all. Like, I'm kind of jealous, Preston, to be honest with you. I mean, I want an entourage. All I have is like Crystal, and that's just, and Ryan. And it's just sorry. And you got, well, okay, just Josiah. Yeah, he's cute. Cause he's cute. So, but listen. Oh, he pulled a Ryan. Good. So tonight, Preston's going to speak to us, and he's going to speak to us as part of this series. But listen, and I want to be serious here for just a minute. This is probably the most difficult thing in the world for a teenager to do. It's more difficult than coming up in front of you and singing or anything like that. Speaking in front of you guys, it can be very difficult, okay? I'm talking about adults have difficulty speaking in front of you. You know, case in point, Shari's speaking in front of you next week, and she's in my office in tears every day. So you'll want to be here next week because Shari's got a great tear-filled message for you. Okay, he can't preach with you like stuck to him like a tuner, so you're gonna have to go. No, I'm not jealous at all. Actually, you can stay up here if you want to sit up here. But listen, tonight, guys, I would ask with all my heart, and you guys do so well at this so much that you pay really close attention to him, guys. That you give him your full attention because this is hard, and show him your support tonight. Would you show Preston your support?
Same respect that you showed Pastor Preston each week. So if y'all would like to go ahead and start talking all you want, go ahead. But like you said, I'm going to continue our series with David and Goliath, and tonight's sermon comes from 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 20 through 30, and it's up there on the screen. You can read along with me. Israel and the Philistines were drawing up their lines, facing each other. David left his things with the keeper of supplies, ran to the battle lines, and asked his brothers how they were. As he was talking with them, Goliath, the Philistine champion from Gath, stepped out from his lines and shouted his usual defiance. And this next part of the verse, I really want you to remember and pay attention to. It says, and David heard it. It hadn't said that in any of the previous verses before, so this kind of jumps out at me a little bit. Remember, David heard Goliath's chant for the first time. Whenever the Israelites saw the man, they all fled from him in great fear. Now the Israelites have been saying, do you see how this man keeps coming out? He comes out to defy Israel. The king will give great wealth to the man who kills him. He will also give him his daughter in marriage and will exempt his family from the taxes in Israel. David asked the men standing near him, what will be done for this man who kills this Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine, pagan, that he should defy the armies of the living God? They repeated to him what they had been saying and told him, this is what will be done for the man who kills him. When Eliab, David's oldest brother, heard him speaking with the men, he burned with anger at him and asked, why have you come down here? And with whom did you leave those few sheep in the wilderness? I know how conceited you are, and I know how wicked your heart is, he said. You came down here only to watch the battle. Now what have I done? Said David. Can't I even speak? And the King James Version says, is there not a cause? Is there not a reason why the Israelites are here facing the Philistines? Are we not supposed to fight? Are we not here for a reason to fight the Philistines? He then turned away to someone else who would listen and brought up the same matter, and the men answered him as before. What David said was overheard and reported to Saul, and Saul sent for him. Now, I want to give us some background information on verses 22 through 30, because it's very important to know what exactly is going on here. Now, in verse 22, we can see that David had an attitude of obedience. Before David did anything else, he fulfilled the task his father had given him. It says this in verse 22, where he left the things with the keeper of supplies. The supplies he brought, remember, was the cheese and the bread. He obeyed his father in this small little task. And even though he was, in the previous chapter, he was anointed king by Samuel. He was anointed king in front of his older brothers. He was anointed king in front of his father. He could have told his father, you know what? I'm king. Go get some servant to do this job. This is not my place to do this. But no, God had a plan for certain events to fall in a particular order for David, all to bring glory to the one who deserves glory. And no, that's not David, but that's God. David had an attitude of obedience, and so should we. As it says in Ephesians 6, 1-3, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, for this is the first commandment with a promise, so that it may go well with you, and that you may have long life in the land here on the earth. Now, after David had completed his task, he then decided to go check out what was going on in the battlefield, because of course he was curious. There was a battle going on. Now, this is the 40th day the Philistines and the Israelites have met at the battlefield, and they have gotten absolutely nothing accomplished. They've basically just been staring at each other, coming out of their camps each day and smack talking each other. Then the Israelites would get scared, turn around, and run back to the camp. But remember, verse 24 says, and David heard it this time. He came on the 40th day. This is the first time that David heard Goliath's chant. This makes me think, hey, something is about to change here. The atmosphere is about to change for this battle. Now, Goliath would do his normal thing. He would come out of his camp, and then Junior would carry his big shield. I don't know why in the world Goliath could not carry a shield. He was 9 feet tall, but the shield would be carried by this guy that was probably smaller than the shield itself. And Goliath would then shout loudly with his incredible voice at the Israelite camp, blaspheming God and his chosen army. Now, the Israelites were 0-40. They were playing like Maryland's basketball team. They would get up, get ready for the foul shot, and then have a little brick up there. And they would line up at the battlefield. Goliath would come out. Their jaws would hit the floor, and they would all run back like little girls to the camp. Each and every day. 40 times in a row this happened. Except this time, remember, David heard it. Israel has one new person on their team, if you want to call them that is going to change the perspective of their battle 180 degrees around. Now tonight, I want us to learn that no matter who is doing what around you, no matter if all your teammates are scared and running away from the problem, no matter if the same people that are running away from your problem that are supposed to be on your team are telling you, you can't handle this problem either. I want to tell you that no matter what anybody else says, we need to learn to have a backbone that can withstand those lies and deceitful words and actions that constantly try to bring us down. If we go to our first point is attitude is everything. Our attitude on the battlefield is everything. Our attitude is what determines how we fight the battle. Do we have an attitude of anxiety? Do we have an attitude of worry? Do we have an attitude of self-pity? Or do we always have low self-esteem, wanting other people to feel bad for ourselves, for us? Or do we have an attitude of anger? Are we always angry at our friends? Are we always angry at our siblings? Are we always angry at our parents? And most importantly, are we always angry at God for some reason? Or do we have a prideful attitude? Is there pride getting in the way between you and God and the battle that you're trying to fight? Or do we have an attitude of hope and joy? A hope and joy in God, who is more than willing to take care of our problems and battles for us. Now, I'm not really one of those people that really likes to dissect artsy type of literature and talk about it for long periods of time, seeing what the author felt and discussing our feelings. And it's kind of fitting that Marjorie, I take an advanced composition class with her. Our last class was this past Monday, and she can attest to this. I'm the only guy in the class, okay? And the lady is the teacher too. It can be a good thing, but it also can be a bad thing. All right. The class was an hour and a half long, and she would basically make us. We had this book called the Norton Reader, and it has a bunch of stories in it, and she would choose stories from all around the book. And she mostly chose stories that appealed to the girls. Not really stories that ever appealed to me. So for a whole hour and a half, we would be discussing what the author felt. She was probably crying when she wrote this certain paragraph. She was probably... and